Hello, Meoni here, and today we got news and insight into the future of Stormblood and Final Fantasy XIV from an exclusive interview with game director Naoki Yoshida, which he had with PlayStation Universe Online. The link to this article will be in the description as always for your convenience. The full article involves some interesting questions and answers and covers a lot of community expectations and future inclusions that will be coming to the game. So let's break it down and read some of this out. First, Yoshida was asked about the housing situation in 4.1 and how he intends to remedy the problem of both the shortage of housing and other technical difficulties with the system in 4.1. To quote Yoshida, "I first want to apologise to all of the players and free companies who were unable to purchase land, and to whom we caused a lot of stress due to the shortage of housing plots. The development team is already working on adding more plots for patch 4.2, but we are also planning to introduce new processes to the plot purchase specifications. We are unable to provide details now, but we will be able to update everyone as we get closer to the release of 4.2. It would be greatly appreciated if you could wait a little longer." As to what other new processes to plot purchasing he's referring to is anyone's guess, but perhaps this could be taken as we might see new restrictions on who can purchase a house more than any advanced system implementation, but time will tell. Yoshida-san next up denies any future plans to add more Disciples of Land or Hand classes to the game. As to quote the man himself, "We do not have any plans to introduce new Disciples of the Hand or Land at the moment. We feel there are already a wide variety of crafting and gathering classes available to players, and there is a high possibility that any new classes would only fill a lesser role in comparison to the current classes." Whilst this statement is mostly true, it could be said there have been several ideas by the community for future DOH and DOL classes. Namely, one of the more interesting ideas I had seen floating recently around Reddit was the idea to include a form of cattle herding or shepherding, which was a really cool idea, but given the restrictions with the current game, I'm not sure it's something they would heavily consider, due to how much time it would take to actually make something not only suit the gameplay style of other crafting and gathering classes, but to also make it actually fun. The problem then with making new exciting classes for these roles is mostly going to come down to how they belittle others, or if they are important at all. You need it to be both useful and necessary, but also not too advanced to leave the others in the dust in terms of enjoyment. No further plans for now is as close as we're going to get for Stormblood, but with plenty of expansions and content patches on the horizon, I would imagine this won't be the last we see of this topic, especially if people request it enough on the forums. RP was the theme of the next question, talking about possible new inclusions to role-playing activities to add to the actual world of 14 as well as the PvE and PvP content. Yoshida mentions the new Bard perform skills for making music, but also has this quote, "We have a solid roadmap of what roleplay related elements we will be implementing in future updates. Similar to the performance actions, we are continuing to put effort into implementing features that allow players the chance to create their own type of fun within the game. I hope that you enjoy these features and use them to enhance in-game roleplaying even further." It's good to remember there's a big open world out there to fill as well as instance areas. So far in Stormblood I've been enjoying my hunts and special fate events, as you've likely seen from many of my guides. But the fact that the perform skill seems to be only one step in the direction to making the world more alive is a great thing to read. Possibly they'll add stuff to other classes. Anything that gives me a real reason to go into the open world and do things I wouldn't usually do is a great thing in my book. Not everyone will want it, but the option to have content like that there definitely provides a certain degree of creativity that competitors in this market severely lack. The next question's asked about the longevity of content, and specifically PlayStation Universe used the Diadem as an example, asking further what the dev team plans to do to make their content keep people active and interested for long periods of time, asking what plans they had for Eureka. Yoshi replied by saying, "We don't envision anything we make as content we want people to continue playing for an exceptionally long time. We have designed the game in a way that entices players to strive for high item level weapons or equipment, or enjoy the aspect of leveling up with our content updates. Since there is a level cap in the game, coupled with the fact we increase the item level on equipment with other updates, it really is hard to imagine content existing that can be played for an extended period of time." Going into further detail by saying, the idea behind Eureka is to give players the opportunity to experience content but has a completely different set of battle rules from field or instance content. However, it has been taking us time to develop due to its scale and completely new system. It shouldn't be much longer though. The references to Diadem comparatively to Eureka possibly gave me the idea of what they wanted to go for. Perhaps I thought a fate-filled area with objectives, but that's not the case the more I read this. A different rule set outside of field or instance combat is a curious set of wording. Does that mean that role restrictions to some of the content may be more open? Such a large-scale innovation is both tantalizing and worrying for obvious reasons. With a potential flop of Diadem in the eyes of the masses, it begs to question what is so vast and unique with this system. How original can it really be? Only time will tell. A little more of Eureka was mentioned, however, when PSU asked. It was mentioned in an earlier interview that you have thought about the idea of Relic Armor, that can grow and improve with your character through completing quests and running content, something akin to the Zodiac and Anima weapon quests we currently have. Have you had any more thoughts about how this type of gear could be implemented within Final Fantasy XIV? Yoshida simply replies, yes. We actually already have solidified our plans for this. This content will be packaged within the Forbidden Land of Eureka content, and verse will be implemented at the same time. So it seems almost like character progression rather than simply a weapon. This is why I see more of a World of Warcraft legendary system seeping through the cracks here. Scaling your character's power through questing, potentially world events and fates seems very much like the direction they are taking rather than focusing on a particular relic weapon, which is interesting to say the least. More questions than those I read here were asked, but those mostly covered class-specific balancing questions, which you can read on the full article if you're curious in your own time, but that about wraps up this video. What do you believe would be the best way to deal with keeping players interested in Eureka and future content? Do you think more variety is the key to this new system, or do you prefer a set form of progression you can gauge, much like daily quests or fates? Let me know below. If you liked the video, throw me a like, and I'll see you next time.